This meeting is being recorded by our local cable access channel, WCAT. If anyone else is present who's recording, just please let us know. And with that, we have minutes from last week's meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
Yes.
And if so, we can take a motion to
Yep, I'll
approve
make a
those.
motion to accept the meeting minutes from March 25th,
I second that.
2025.
Okay, if there's no discussion, I'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it is a motion to pass those minutes. And so we're back to reviewing fiscal year 26 budget requests. Madeline?
Yep, the only thing I just want to say is I gave you the copy of the animal control. This is the same as last year, but we didn't have an official copy, so you all got one to put
Okay.
with your other ones.
She's having a problem with her,
Oh, because she uses some
computers.
crazy program.
Oh.
It's some really strange
Okay.
name thing I've never heard of before. And the only other, next thing is, do you have any numbers for us from the school?
There are, the school committee voted last night to approve.
They voted, so
There-
this is official.
This is their numbers, yeah. I didn't get a printout, but give me just one moment.
But I can't understand, I don't understand why we haven't got it yet, so, or when we're getting it.
There should, I'm gonna presume there should be something forthcoming in the next day or two or three. I did. The numbers that were presented
Wait a
last
minute, I need to
night.
get a pencil. That's not breaking.
I have an extra pencil if you want. Who voted on it? Selectmen voted on it?
No,
The
school.
school committee,
This is what they're gonna
adopted-
send us.
there was a budget put forth to the school committee for
Yep.
official adoption, which happened last night. The fiscal year 26 total assessment for Warren is $4,993,715,
Mhm.
and that's comprised of a minimum local contribution, $3,921,051.
Hang on one second.
Yep.
Give me that number again.
3921.
Hold on, my apologies, that was West Brookfield. Our minimum, I'm sorry, Warren, minimum contribution, $3,250,310. Above minimum, $904,923,
904.
904,923. And the transportation assessment of 838,482. And so 499,3715 would be the total assessment, yes. And, yeah. Okay? So we're good with the animal control, there's no changes there. We can talk about school in just a minute, I guess, and anything from police yet or not?
Nothing official,
Not
no.
finalized, okay.
You see a light at the end of the tunnel?
We are scheduled to have an executive session with the selectmen this Thursday at 11. And then subsequently, I'm meeting with the Patrolmen's Association that same day at 1. So we're hopeful.
Maybe next week?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So other than the salary negotiations, the budget look reasonable?
I'm still waiting on some numbers for liability insurance, as well as workers' comp. final numbers on those. They may be just estimates at the end, and there may be a need to address any inequities come November. I'm trying to get as close of a
When do they
real
renew?
number. Well, they renew July 1, so,
Being in the business for 40 years,
Yeah.
don't hold your breath.
yeah. So what I'm saying is that, you know, there may be a need for an article at the special in the fall to address any, you know, potential inequities there. I did also circle back around with Steve. We are going to have that student that is out of district in Smith. It was mistaken. This is not their final year. They have
Oh.
one more
That's
year
what I
to
thought.
go.
Okay.
So we will, I called Smith today, and the number hasn't been set for tuition yet by the state. I'm waiting to see if I could get some type of budgetary number, but on the safe side, I would take whatever our tuition number is from this year and add 2.5%. And then, again, if we are short, we'll have to address it in the fall. And then for transportation, because transportation has climbed quite a bit, I would anticipate the transportation number the same as the number this year, and I would add comfortably 8% to that, because the current transportation bid that went out for Quabog, you know, reflected an 8% increase over last year. And again, you know, there may be an opportunity there for the town to check in with the parents prior to school starting, as I think it was discussed between the parents and the superintendent. There may be an opportunity for alternate transportation, being it is the student's senior year.
She might
So-
drive herself, basically?
I don't know, you know, I don't wanna say, but there may be an opportunity to check back in with the parents prior to school to see if transportation will be required for this final year of the student. So Steve said that he'd be willing to check for us in August, but I would recommend us budgeting the transportation at an 8% increase for fiscal year '26.
So this
Ed,
is,
go ahead.
sorry, so this is for a student at Smith College or?
Smith Vocational.
Oh, vocational, oh.
Yeah.
We don't pay college.
Oh, okay, I was like, wait a minute, huh?
Yeah. Smith
Okay.
Vocational Technical
Okay.
High School.
And so just for reference, based on last year's numbers, that would mean approximately $21,200 in tuition and $40,500 for transportation. So an additional almost $62,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought the student had been there for 4 years, but lost track of my years, I guess.
It's the worst thing you could do.
well, apparently, those numbers also weren't included in the school's budget
Because they're
either.
not responsible for it.
Right,
Yeah,
so
it's
And
on
they
the
it
town.
it doesn't pass through them at all?
No.
Okay, all right, my misunderstanding then.
That's why West Brookfield, if they do their education, you know, their bulk, a lot of them go to Tantascwa, they pay a lot of money because they're not in the regional with
It's
Tantascwa.
not in, okay. Okay, all right. Thanks for clarifying that. And so,
We talk about the school.
the school, yeah. It, just because I've been involved there quite a bit with going to all the meetings and whatnot, well, I'll just say what I've told folks over on the school committee and Superintendent Duff. You know, while I understand, I think they've done a good job of trying to keep their budget under control. I know Jim, at the last selectmen's meeting, Steve basically gave a presentation, so this has all been heard by you, but for the rest of the committee and whoever's listening, I'm just reporting, I'm not advocating plus or minus, I'm just stating what was stated, was that the school was facing approximately 1.3 million in additional expenses over last year that they can't control. And
What, insurances, what else?
insurance, the transportation assessment, give me just a moment here, it was part of the presentation. So transportation up by 350, I'll round off, 350,000. Special ed, another 287,000. Health insurance, 287,000 as well. Health insurance active, health insurance retirees, 85,000. Special ed, transportation, the number, I've got 253, I thought, or 254, I thought last night I heard 154, but I might have just misheard it. I think the 254 is the real number. And retirement assessments, 80,000, that all adds up to 1.35 million.
What was the retirement number?
Their additional retirement over last year was
80,000?
79, yeah, 79,000. So those were all things that they couldn't control. The overall budget, excuse me one second. Let's get back to the meeting. Sorry.
Yeah, I think after, we can talk about it, but not make any decision, and we can run downstairs and make copies for everybody, so we
Okay.
can look at it.
Yeah, I didn't do that until I heard numbers from last night, and maybe I should have, the things I circled were numbers that I knew were good. So the total assessments went up 1,057,000. The things they couldn't control went up $300,000 more. So the things they could control, they actually came in 300,000 less than in fiscal year '25. And so,
I'm sorry, repeat that for me.
sure. So
Total assessment was 1 million.
total assessment this year, year over year, has gone up. Let me get the number again. Sorry. It has gone up 1,057,000, say 58,000,
Okay.
just to round it off.
Mhm.
Their costs they couldn't control went up
300,000?
1.35. Get you the actual number here.
Oh,
I should restaple my,
1.3 million, that was all these things that were done.
1.35 million,
Okay,
right. So approximately $300,000 of difference.
got it, okay.
The costs that they could control were reduced by $300,000. So, you know, from my perspective, I think the administration put forth a reasonable budget. But obviously for the assessments, it's just another another instance of the manifestation that we've known for years and years, that the state, whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know, I have my feelings about it, which I'll hold, is that the state is simply only increasing their share of supporting public education by minimal percentages, and they're pushing it to the towns and cities. When our above minimums have gone from low hundreds of thousands over the last 10 years to now being 603,000, that's all you need to know, is that the state is just letting towns pick up the difference to support local schools. So I'm I'm really vexed over how to approach this. My hope and prayer is simply that the state, when they do final numbers, the numbers they're working from are the governor's proposed numbers, which could change. We have no state house numbers, either the Senate or the congressional, and we won't know probably until after town meeting. So the budget that was proposed can't go up. We can only hope that it'll go down. And I can't,
There's a lot going on.
it's a lot of money.
That's
It's a lot of money.
controllable in town, things we.
So, like I said, I'm really, it's really a consternation as to actually, I'm sorry, I keep looking at Westbrook Fields. Our above minimum is now 900,000, I apologize, I misspoke a few minutes ago.
No, you said 904.
Yeah, but I made a
923.
reference from, over the last 10 years, our contributions steadily gone up from 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 to now almost $904,000, $905,000.
It's gone up that much in how many years?
Well, I don't have the,
Oh, okay.
I don't wanna
Over the last couple
misquote.
of years?
No.
Over the last,
Not
say,
the
10
last
years.
couple.
Okay.
Over, say, the last 10 years.
Okay.
It's steadily climbed. The amount we're contributing is been
Okay.
on a very steep slope of increase. The minimum local contribution, what the state says we have to give, has, of course, increased as well.
Well,
It always does, but it's been a much lower
last year
rate.
it went down.
Did last year go down? Okay. How much, Madeline? Just a small,
Let's see, 38, about 50,000.
about, okay, so basically flat last year, which is fine. We got, and
And so didn't the requirement for transportation.
yeah,
go
because
down?
last year's transportation was very favorable, the state came through much better than they usually have, even though they still don't fund it the way it was originally intended to be 100% reimbursement for regional districts. But again, what can we do? We don't have state representation here, so we're talking to the wind. And even if we did, we'd be talking to the wind too. Yes, I did say that, not afraid to, I'd say it if you were here.
Can I share my honest opinion about what you just said?
I'd love to hear it.
I don't have very much confidence that the state will step in and retribute all of this. Because even when it comes to giving federal grants to universities, big universities like Harvard, Columbia, Johns Hopkins, places like that. Johns Hopkins, like that's where I attend school, like they had to let go 2,000 of their employees because their funds got cut. And I know that all of this feeds into each other, and
I don't know how much, this is basically state money. We're not talking federal money, this is just state.
yeah. I mean, a lot of it just feeds into each other,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about their grants, but the minimum and the transportation, that's state money.
Yeah,
It
right,
has
right.
nothing to do with the feds.
Right?
Yes,
Just a quick question. Did the school,
Peter, 1 second, just because we have to do the public thing. We're gonna recognize Peter Krozik to address the committee. Go ahead.
yeah, did the school do a line-by-line item assessment for the whole budget? Did they give you a breakdown of where they saved some money? I mean, they used to do this years ago. We used to pull the whole budget, classroom by classroom, figure out where they were not spending money, and determine what they could live on. That's how we did it for a number of years, and you could save a couple $100,000 even doing that, because you found a lot of budgets that weren't being spent. Has the school been doing, a few years ago, I approached at a public hearing at the school and said something to the school committee about doing these, reviewing the budget like they're supposed to, and they hadn't done it in years. Are they doing it? Are they just doing it on paper? It's a good, you know what I mean, has anybody approached you and said, we did a line-by-line assessment of all the classrooms and all the operations of the school and determined this is where we could cut the fat? So,
I haven't seen that personally. I So I can't really address that
That's-
with definitiveness. I believe they have done that, but I can't say what they did or didn't do.
That's what just asking.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I started to say what I've said to some of the committee members and Mr. Duff, was that even if the above minimum could come in flat to last year, I still wouldn't cheerlead that number, but at least I could support it. They're, between the two towns, it's $205,000 more than last year's asks of the towns. 136,000 of that is ours, roughly 69,000 of that is West Brookfield's. So that's where we're at. Again, without sitting there and,
Right,
In
did
the-
anybody
in the-
say that we've done this assessment? Years ago, they used to do this on a regular basis. It would take maybe 6 or 8 hours to go through and talk to some of the teachers, some of the administrators,
Yeah.
and find out where they weren't spending money,
I-
or where they needed money.
They-
Books, things like that.
the new budget director over there, Nicole Gonzalez, has spoken to that, but I haven't been involved personally, so I can't really speak to it personally. She seems very credible to me. I have a generally good feeling that they've done a good job. I can't say that they've done a superb job, because again, I'm not, without being personally involved. But from everything that I've gleaned, they've done a pretty good job. So I can't fault them, and yet at the same time, sitting on the Warren Finance Committee, it's just a hard pill to swallow here, and so.
I'm just bringing it up from my own
My
experience.
frustration is way more with the state than it is with the school committee, the local issue. And for two reasons. Number one, they don't support public education the way they like to talk about how great Massachusetts and the public education and the support of it is. But not only the dollars, but why are we in April having to guess as to what we're gonna actually get? It's totally unacceptable, but what other choice do we have but to accept it? And we probably won't even know those numbers until after we have our town meeting. It's immensely frustrating, it's deplorable.
The minimum won't change.
No, I know.
Transportation might.
No, I know, but,
Transportation might, and then we get our pro rata share back on that.
right, but the chapter 70 money could change.
No, minimum's never changed.
Oh.
Minimum has never changed.
Okay, okay, let's,
Transportation has.
no, but hold on, but the minimum local contribution is a state assessment to our town that we have to contribute. I'm talking about the state aid, the chapter 70 money,
I
what they
never-
could give.
I'm just saying, when we've done budgets and voted at town meeting, there's never been a change in minimum. Once
Right.
we were told, this is
Right.
what, right, Peter?
Yeah, as
Once
far as I
this is
know.
minimum, that's what we pay.
Right, but if the state aid, the state aid this year, their chapter 70 funding went from 10.44 million to 10.52. The chapter 70 money,
Correct.
chapter 71 is transportation, let's leave that out. The chapter 70 money went up $77,000
From last year.
from fiscal year 25 to
Right, from
26.
last year.
So the state's ponying up an additional 77,000, and they're basically telling us as a town that we need to come up with
Right.
another $136,000.
Right.
They're pushing it all to the local towns, and so.
No, I'm just saying, because you're
Yeah.
talking about the other numbers aren't out there yet, I understand that.
Right.
But what I'm just saying to you, that, since I've been here, once they're notified from the
R-
state,
right,
this is what you're
right.
getting, that number's not gonna change.
I agree.
Okay, that's
But-
what I'm
But the
saying,
above minimum request,
that's what the above.
every
that's-
dollar more that the state comes up
Right.
with, if they were, is gonna reduce our above minimum ask.
Correct, but it's never happened before, that's all I'm trying to tell you.
Okay,
The only thing that's ever has changed is the transportation.
okay,
Once those numbers come out, and maybe we've had the Senate and the House numbers at this time, but once they tell us what we need to pay for minimum, it's
Right.
never changed.
okay,
The only thing that has changed is transportation.
right.
But, like I said, has anybody checked today to see, did you check today to see if the Senate or them, I'll look at before we.
I did, there's no numbers.
There's
There's no
no.
numbers yet.
I mean, when you were talking about state aid, I told you, I mean, I agree with you, even UMass Amherst is literally the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and they got cuts with their state aid, so like, what do we expect, right? For schools in small towns. It's just, you know, kind of a common sense principle, you know, and a lot of it does rely on federal, because, you know, the federal government obviously has the treasury, you know. What, I mean, where else does the state get their money from? They get it from the federal government, so.
No, we get it, we pay the taxes on it,
Mm.
Yeah.
not from the federal government. The federal government doesn't pay for Massachusetts' budget. They may get grant money, it could affect grants, but it doesn't affect what we pay in our taxes for our budget, for the Commonwealth's budget or the school budget. That's no federal dollars here.
Comment off of Ray's point, the formula
Hasn't changed.
hasn't changed and is flawed. The formula as it sits favors the cities, Springfield, Worcester, and Boston. It does not favor rural school districts. And that's a challenge for many smaller rural towns across the Commonwealth. You know, they had increased last year the transportation reimbursement to almost, you know, that 90% number. You know, this year I think it's teetering somewhere around 85%. But the formula and the way it is structured doesn't, you know, which is created by the state, it doesn't favor rural towns. It always favors the population centers of Springfield, Worcester, and Boston. That's where the voters are, and it's unfair.
Right?
It's unfair.
That's what Brett, when he was up there, when Brett was up at the school, you know, all the other regional schools and them would go to Boston and say, you know, this is flawed. And it's been like that for years and years and years. And nothing's ever happened to change it.
One other thing that, you know, that you may want to look at too is also enrollments, because enrollments are important for money. I don't know if they commented on enrollments over the last 5 to 10 years within the district, but I think that would be an important piece to learn about for future budgets.
Well, they usually give you something, either in their report, the annual report,
Um,
give you how much of it's enrollments.
In the presentation last night, enrollments weren't, enrollments are down, I think, 6 students district-wide this year. And of course, that is a factor. What the trend has been, the trend has been slightly down. I think I saw something in the past 2 months, I can't remember it off the top of my head. It's a factor, but it's relatively small, so I don't want to characterize it more than that. But it is, obviously, it's a factor. So where does that leave us?
I know I'm not, I would vote for 904, I can tell you right now.
Yeah, like I said,
I mean, we don't have to take a vote today, we can wait and see after this house in the state, you know, technically, you know, I think next week we need to wrap this up.
Yeah,
Because then we'll be meeting with the selectmen later that week.
right.
And then, if need be, the week after would be the last time, because the books are going out to print
Right.
the following week, so.
So if, Steve, just to be fair and to extend the invitation to the committee, Steve said he'd be happy to come and meet with us if anyone wanted to have him meet with us. I don't, so I'll just put that out there. Would the committee like Steve to come by and address it in person and?
I mean, you know, I don't understand, I understand what Peter's saying, but they give us even a sheet itself that has this compared to last year and all that sheets that we usually get, we don't even have that. You know,
So it'd be
this is-
helpful to get a,
Well, they have to provide by law a certified copy.
right, that's what I'm saying, so
Okay.
where's our certified copy?
okay,
You know, is that coming? I mean, you can,
sure,
you know, when's the certified copy's coming?
okay.
Because then that's gonna tell us, you know, last year exactly what happened for Warren, West Brookfield, and these are, you know, the
Certain
trans-
copies of exact numbers?
of their, yes, of their vote, of
Of
the
their
budget.
voted budget.
Certified budget,
Got it.
I think it's gotta come to the treasurer too, a copy.
Yeah, I know there's a report that's due. This this is not what you're speaking to, but they did have operating expense by campus. So district-wide, the increase was 466,000. So district expenses. Warren Elementary increased by 264,000. West Brookfield by 306,000,
West Brookfield doesn't make any difference.
and the high school by 248,
Right. I'd be
249,000.
Why the elementary school went up by 400,000, that's what I'd like to know.
I'm sorry, Warren, so that would be the elementary school, 264,000.
You said 400.
I misspoke then if I
No,
did.
you didn't.
So
No, you said the district. Oh.
the district, so they have 4 categories: the high school, the 2 elementary schools, and then district expenses. District went up 466, Warren Elementary 264, West Brookfield 300
I
plus,
don't care about West
and
Brookfield.
Quabog High School, so the high school went up 248. And so again, you'd have to get the full report to
Right.
understand that. If their operating expenses went up by,
I understand the first one, because
Yeah.
that's basically going to be their health insurance, retirement, I mean, I'm not sure what else is in that category. But if you
Probably
wanted to come in, well, I'm just saying.
yeah,
And I don't know if the teachers' raises are in the district or are they in each one of those schools? That's what,
Question.
yeah,
okay, so if you want to have them come, you can talk to them, have them come next week. And that's why
Okay.
we should have
But
a
we should
copy
have
of
the
this.
certified copies then.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have that, but then he can tell them that we're interested, why, on that breakdown. I don't care about West Brookfield, don't make no difference to us. Why the district, you know, what's our percentage, can I see that?
yeah, go ahead.
Like, what does it entail, these numbers?
So the district is 466. Warren is 264. And Quabog is 248. So the district itself, yeah, the 466, that's, so that in Warren and Quabog. What makes up those increases? Because I think the schools would be the salary. What do you think, Peter?
I'm thinking,
Or is that the district? I don't remember.
Well, I'm thinking, for the budget, they used to discuss contracts that haven't been settled yet for teachers, things like that. Your projected increase in your insurance, I mean, it used to be I've been out of it for a couple of years.
Yeah, no,
There used to be
I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that, yes, I have questions, like I
Yeah,
said.
have Steve come in.
Yeah, have them come in and say, okay, what is, and I think in their report, I'm trying to remember, because I haven't seen one in a few years, this is the district, and then they have the schools broken down, but that's what I'm saying, is all the teachers increase in the district? Or is it in each school? Where is the teachers' raises? Because I'm thinking the district, a lot of it's gonna be health insurance, because we know how much our health insurance went up. It went up just for us.
15.71%.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna make copies of all
Yeah,
of that
yeah.
before we leave. Yeah, our medical insurance went up 90,000 for 15, almost 16%. And there's not many of us, so that's what I'm thinking, that's how I would read this. That's their expenses for,
Everything.
everything, but then the school, I would think would be the teachers' raises. What Warren is this much raises, West Brookfield's this much, and this is
High
for the
school,
high
yeah.
school.
I will let the committee know that teacher contract negotiations are still going on, and that contract has not been settled yet. There's hope that, from the last meetings, that they've scheduled some additional negotiation sessions in anticipation of trying to negotiate an agreement. I had mentioned to Steve that if this is not settled by the time the budget is set, does he plan on coming back to the town, or to the towns, to ask for additional money when it is settled? And he had indicated to me, no, he doesn't anticipate doing that. So I think that's important to understand that as well, in case, it gets settled higher than what is anticipated amount.
So I will request the fuller report, the certified copy, and I'll ask Steve and/or the finance director, Nicole Gonzalez, to come next Tuesday's meeting, if presumably we're gonna meet next Tuesday. And then we can have more discussions and.
I mean, it doesn't sound like he's made any cuts to any of the jobs or anything.
Right, there's, staffing would remain as is, there's no new positions, there's no eliminating positions at this point, right, that's correct, yeah. Anything else on the school? Okay, so we'll look forward to getting more information and, we can take it up again next week. Any other departments that we haven't gone through?
Well, just the police.
Police, that's the only one, so hopefully by next week, maybe? Don't know.
Potentially.
Potentially, okay.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, if not, we need to at least have a copy of what
What you do
Where-
have,
we can have, so we
Mhm,
can
yeah.
do something there.
act
I
on
mean, because
that.
if we need to, the thing too is that if need be, we can always address the salary difference at the fall special.
Okay,
All right, so I was looking at this, doesn't look like there's anything on this special.
Nothing on the
We're
special,
still waiting for the numbers on Article 3.
what's that?
Still waiting for the numbers on Article 3?
Correct, yep, so that would be for the snow and ice,
Right.
have not finalized those numbers yet.
So everything else on the special is fine.
The two drafts have the updated recommendations as per the last meeting. The only article that is new is a bylaw change, which I don't think you're going to be,
Yeah, the last,
the last one, you're gonna be
next to the last page.
talking about.
22.
And it pertains to dog licenses, late fees.
Next to the last page, you got one more page. There you go.
Which
So
one
on the
did you
town-
get in?
22.
22.
Oh, okay.
It's September 4th. And why does she want to change it? Because that's what town council said, that should be the correct language.
No, the town council, that's a note for town council when I
Okay.
send it over to them.
So why does want to
She,
change
I believe she wants to change it because she wants to be able to collect the late fees prior to July as opposed to doing it beforehand. So
Okay,
that,
she wants it May instead of July.
May, so that when she does the turnover slips, it doesn't have to do from different fiscal years.
Okay. So on the town meeting articles, Article 12, the HERO Act, we had a question about how many abatements were being processed this year. I don't know if we got that number.
No, we don't have that as of yet.
Okay.
And then Article 13, what does she want to do?
The one about
Mhm.
appointing either a principal, an assistant, or an assistant assessor trainee.
That's gotta get straightened out, because I know that's not right.
Do you want me to see if she could come in next Tuesday?
She has to, because
We
it's
need
it's
to-
two separate things.
Yeah,
If she's gonna create the position, it has to go before the omnibus. And then she has to have two separate articles to say how much she wants to pay him.
Okay.
so we still need,
That, and then the one for the highway department,
You know,
number 19,
number 19
is the highway.
is for,
Please and appropriate the sum of 20,000 to create a new highway payroll line.
you know, one thing that
Oh,
I
you want to
would,
break it into two articles.
It's got to come before the omnibus,
Mhm.
the article to allow, make this position.
so Jeremy is out of town, he's, and I think he's gonna be back the end of the week. I can get with him on that. One other thing that I was thinking about, that may be helpful to both to the town and to highway, as well as to the residents of the town, and, you know, could provide for greater transparency. Right now, all of the salaries for highway are lumped into one line item. So you have salaries for full-time and you have salaries for part-time. Fire has salaries for their full-time and their on-call people. So, Jeremy is trying to do more projects, but is cognizant of his, of trying to ask for more staff, full-time staff. And so he's trying to be able to do some projects that, part-time people could fill in and get accomplished, as opposing to pay somebody full-time, keep them on the books all year, pay benefits.
It's not in there.
So, what I was suggesting that the committee consider doing is creating a separate line to show the actual values of full-time, and then creating a line strictly for part-time hires
Right.
for the highway department, so you can see that value as well.
We'll break out the full-time and the part-time
Right,
separately,
but
so we
that's
know
what-
exactly what's.
That's what part of this article says.
Right.
To create a new highway payroll line within the highway for the part-time.
Right.
That's what part of that article
Payroll
is.
line for part-time employees.
The fire's not in there, Ray,
You're right,
so that's why I gave it to you.
this one, yeah.
So they have full-time,
Right,
they have their fire
Call.
department, they're called fire department's a separate line.
right,
Their EMT, on-call's a separate line.
Yep.
Their EMT stipend is a separate line,
right.
and that's what, part of 19. So if, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jim. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I would suggest that to the committee, since it's already being done at the fire department. And I think for budgetary purposes, it would be easier to see how the money is being spent, whether it's on the full-time or part-time.
So all it would entail is for me to, on the highway department, just add another line, put highway salaries full-time with what's in his budget,
Mhm.
highway salaries part-time,
Part-time,
and
and
what's
what-
in the budget.
And it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're going to either be hiring a full-time or a part-time person, those authorizations are done at town meeting, annual town meeting, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
That's why that article has to be by two, that's what I said. And
Right,
He's
so-
saying 20,000.
So
What is
then-
20,000
He's gotta break it
people?
out.
What does it break it out to?
How many hours
Right.
per hour, what's the,
For the positions.
for the position, and
Yeah.
how much,
Yeah,
because they
okay.
can't work over more than 19 hours.
So, I mean, I could, if you want me to, I could see if he could come in on next Tuesday as well.
Yeah, especially because if that's gonna be article, and.
We, I think we need to, so we can finalize all
Right.
this. yeah.
Okay.
And, and the assessor too.
Okay, so I'll get the assessor and the highway
Highway, and you're getting
surveyor.
Steve
And you're gonna
Oh.
get Steve,
I'll get Steve and a copy of the
certified budget.
certified budget.
Yeah, because, they got it, because I think we got it last year, and the treasurer didn't, she's the one that has to get it.
Right,
And I know
Yes.
she didn't get it, so. So, I mean, for us, it's nothing that, we could break it out anyways, we don't need town meeting vote to say,
right, but,
but since that's how the
right,
article
we'll be
is,
together.
yeah,
yeah.
that was reading.
all right, I think that addresses the open issues with the town article, the town meeting warrant.
Nobody else, huh?
I haven't got any other articles. I will
Take
mention
one
to the
and pass it
committee
around.
that the capital planning committee met last Thursday. They have started the process of reviewing several capital requests from various departments. They've put items onto the capital plan for this year, for fiscal year '26, coming up. They are also requesting some additional information from various departments. I've emailed those departments, and, they'll be meeting next Tuesday at 2:00, to hopefully finalize their articles. And then I'm guessing that the FinCom will want to weigh in on those articles as well as they have in the past.
Yeah, that sounds good to everyone,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
totally support that. On that note, since it came up, would it be a problem if we met next Tuesday at 3:30? Is that an issue or not?
She's
No.
over there.
I know, I have a
Yep.
class that night, but I'll, it's all right. This has to be done.
No, because because he's got,
I know, yeah, I'm good.
the capital plan.
Yeah,
I can go late to my class, it's fine,
you're sure?
positive.
I think we should just leave it at 3.
we can do that,
Right.
we can do
You
that.
can stay there. We
It's
can
gonna,
start-
it's gonna be a long meeting. We got 3 people coming in.
Right, so why don't we do this, then, just so everyone has an expectation, it is gonna be a busy meeting next
Mhm.
week. So we can still meet at 3. I can bow out of finance, because I can give whatever input I wanna give before 3 o'clock. And then when they wrap it up, we'll ask them to
Bring it upstairs.
bring that up to us, and we meet with all the people who
I
are
mean, how
coming
many-
in.
How many capital planning things are they looking to put on this year's budget?
Not a ton.
I mean, on the articles.
Not,
5 or 6?
yeah, there were somewhere between 5 and 10. It's not that many. None of it that I recall is really out of, unaligned with what we were doing last year and had already put forward as proposed for
Mhm.
fiscal year 26. So I don't expect our input to capital planning to be, I don't expect any big issues there. And they can just bring up their numbers when they conclude their meeting. And, I mean, if it goes super smoothly, we'll be wrapped up by 3. I kind of doubt that, because we do need to talk about some things a little bit.
What time do you mean?
At 2.
Oh, okay.
And so, so we can still meet at 3, that's fine. I just wanted to let everyone know what was going on with that. Okay, so, anything else before we talk about projected revenues?
You know what, can I have Koi Bog's thing that I'm gonna?
And you wanna go copy?
Yes.
Sure.
And I'll unlock the door. Did you unlock the door when you came?
I have not unlocked the door.
I did last week, but this week I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys can go ahead on the revenue. I'll do that.
Okay. All right, Jim.
Okay, so I put together some preliminary projections for fiscal year '26 revenue. You know, looking at where we currently are with motor vehicle excise tax, you know, right now, I just received a report from the tax collector. We're at $369,000 for collections, approximately. I'm anticipating that number to continue.
What, 369?
Motor vehicle excise tax for the current fiscal year,
Oh, oh, okay,
25.
oh, okay.
These are revenue projections for fiscal year '26. We projected for fiscal year '25 to be about $550 for motor vehicle excise tax. Don't forget, those bills just went out, so they were due a few weeks ago, and so collection is still ongoing. So the 369 number, I think that represents about probably 77% of what has been collected. So I'm pretty comfortable at 369 saying that we're gonna be somewhere around the nucleus of 550 when it all's said and done. Meals tax, historically, we've been averaging somewhere around $27,000 for meals tax. So $27,000 for meals tax is a stable number. Pilots, that's a fixed number. I'm not anticipating any new pilot agreements to come out, and so that should be a stable number. Penalties and interests, historically, we've been right around the 120, 125 number, so that number is real. Other charges for services, 360,000, that is for ambulance revenue. I think right now we're somewhere around 260, so we still have a few more months to go, and I think we'll end somewhere around that 350, 360 number. Fees, 36,000, we've always been somewhere around 33,000, 35,000, so 36 is a realistic number for fees. Rentals of buildings, we've been averaging, currently right now, we're at somewhere around 27,000. So I think 33,000 is a realistic number. Cemeteries, 2,700 is what we budgeted for this year. 2,800, I think, is a realistic number. It's always been somewhere 26, 27, right around there. So I think 28 is realistic. Building permits, we're right around the $27,000 mark right now. We budgeted 33,000 for this year, so 34,000 I think is a conservative number. Other licenses and permits, we're right on track with 28,000. I think we could stay right there within 28,000. Fines and forfeitures, 17,000. We've been somewhere around trending around 22,000, 23,000. I put that a little bit lower because currently for fines and forfeitures we only had about 11,000 collected, so that could see a small dip. Investment income, we're right around the 120 number right now, and I think we had budgeted somewhere around 160 for FY25, so 165 is a realistic number. Hopefully we will continue on a strong investment path, as the treasurer has done a great job with investing the money safely and properly. So I think that's a good number. Reoccurring miscellaneous, it's always been somewhere around $3,500. I think that's a real number. In UGG, we're at right now in the governor's budget, we're right at that number of $1,289,506. So projected revenues, we're a little over $3 million, and then that's not including real estate, real estate and personal property. That has to be, depending on how much we're going to be looking to raise in the omnibus budget, will dictate how much we need to collect in those numbers. Once the budget becomes a little bit more solid, we'll be able to throw some numbers in there.
Jim, how does this compare? Did you do any comparison to last year, or that's what you were saying?
Yeah,
all the numbers are-
so it's about on the conservative side, I put in about a $65,000 increase in receipts, somewhere around there, as opposed from last year to this year. Very, very conservative numbers, because this whole climate could change very quickly.
Okay. Anything else on revenue projections? Okay.
I also want to thank Madeline for sitting down and taking some time. She was very patient with me, with trying to look at some historical data from previous years, and her historical perspective on things is invaluable. So thank you for
The
that.
brain has a lot of information.
Well,
in it.
the thing is that you can only take a guesstimate at this point,
These are all guesstimates.
Yeah.
because,
Right.
this is, and looking in past years. So, the biggest change here is the pilot, because that was always in personal property. So personal property's going down the 300,000. So, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, how the tax rate's done. Okay, so Everything is, it's what you voted to raise and appropriate, okay? And then you have to add in the allowance and abatements from the assessor's office. You have to add in the public library, I forget what it's actually called on the sheet there. It's not an offset receipt, I don't think, and that has to get added in. And then you take away this, okay, what you expect for miscellaneous revenue, and the balance is what you have to raise and appropriate. And then, the next thing is, then you have to find out what the town's worth,
Oh.
okay? And it's a full reval every 5 years, it's an interim every year. So even if, we'll say, we have to raise $10 million, okay? And both years, compare this year to last year. And so if the town is worth X amount of money, this is your tax rate, okay? It could be the same, okay? Say it's exactly 10 million, the valuation didn't change, but your tax rate could change because branches could have gone up, could have gone down, capes could have gone up, could have gone down. So it's hard to say until you know how much the total valuation for the town. People, that's what I try to explain to people. It's like 1 and 1 is 2. So 1 is how much you have to raise, number 2 is the value of the town. You can't say this is the answer till you get those two. It just can't happen, and a lot of people they don't understand that concept. They just think, well, if we need to raise 10 million, well, it's gonna be the same as last year. But it's not, because it's the valuation of the town.
So, with that being said, you know, in looking at the budget, or the, you know, where we are with the budget, this is gonna be a very, very tight, year, as the board knows. We are going to be seeing, some significant increases, you know, not only on the school side, but,
Uncontrollable increases.
yeah, but also on the town side as well. You know, we have the new implementation of the wage scale, that's estimated at about $50,000 to implement. We have, insurance costs that are, you know, without our, you know, that we can't control. We do have, some additional costs associated with, you know, utilities, that, you know, that have, gone up. We also, are in negotiations with, the with the Patrolmen's Association, so, we're anticipating an increase there. So, you know, right now, I think, you know, looking at some of these numbers, you know, we're looking at somewhere anywhere between a 6 to 7, you know, budget increase, you know, over last year to this year. And, you know, that's a scary number, you know, considering that we were at 390, 3.9, you know, as opposed from fiscal year 23 to 24. So anything that you know, that the committee can look at within the budget, you know, suggestions of ways in which there could be some cost-saving measures, I'm all ears to see how we can address some of these, you know, rising costs.
So I just wanna say a couple things, because these numbers aren't exact, because I know we gotta, the police, we gotta put in and stuff. But total government A is the first group, selectmen benefits, debt, selectmen, FinCom, the accountant, assessor, treasurer, tax collector, town clerk, planning board, conservation, building inspector, forester, and veterans agent, because that includes the health insurance and stuff. That's like a 9% increase for that one section. the next session for animal control, which is, includes the police, which is gonna make it a little higher. Highway, I know fire, I didn't print. Cemetery, Board of Health, Council on Aging, libraries, and then parks and rec. That only went up 3.4%. So that part was pretty good. So the total government before the schools is 6.17. And that is because of the new wage classification and
Insurance.
insurances, and then the regional dispatch really hit it good times. That was a big increase of 64,000, almost 64,000. But a lot of it has to do with the benefits there. That was 16, almost 17% for retirement, Medicare, insurances. And the retirement was one of the big ones. That was 18.69, was 112,000. So I just, so if it was just them two, wouldn't be too bad. But then, once we put the school in, so the increase in the minimum is 9.73%. The increase for transportation is 30.06%.
30% is transportation.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first one you said?
The minimum that we have to pay,
Yeah.
9.73.
So, I mean, Madeline, by any chance, for ha-has, I mean, we just got those numbers. If you plug those numbers in, what would be the?
Yeah, I can do it in a minute.
Okay.
I'll get it before we get done. I just had a question for you, Priya. You keep talking about the federal government. What does the federal government give to the state that you're saying that would reflect for the high schools? I mean, for the education for the state. I was just curious, because you said it twice, that the money that we get from the feds.
Yes, I apologize. I was just saying that everything feeds into each other, and I was just commenting on
Yeah.
that principle, and that's.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if you knew something we didn't know. That's why I was asking. I know in the past, it had happened for grants. If, I think they may have a teacher that, has applied for grants, and that's how that person gets paid, or part of her
Sure.
pay comes from grants. That's what I was just wondering if that's what, but that's all I was saying. I didn't know, because I know grants will affect, but I don't know how much for the schools, you know what I'm saying? Because the only thing that the town, that we do is usually CDBG. Other than that, sometimes we'll get a federal grant here and there, but not, I don't know about the school budget, what they get from federal grants. So I didn't know if, since you do have a knowledge of it, I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I have friends who work as auditors for multiple states, including Massachusetts, and they told me that a lot of things are going haywire within the state, and it just, I know it feeds into.
Yes,
Yeah, no,
They're
I
all
know.
connected is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go put numbers in. What do you want me to put in for above minimum? I don't care, just give me a number and I'll put it in. You want me to put the 902 in?
Put their ask.
Okay.
Put that in
So
for
that
now.
is. I believe-
It was 904. Yeah.
I know I got it
You
somewhere.
got it.
I found it.
Okay. While Madeline's
And
doing that.
then you want to add in also the voc ed.
Right.
What?
The voc ed.
Vocational. Because we thought that was going away this year, but it looks like it's not. Yeah, best to get the worst case,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then we can always go
yeah,
down.
it'll give us an idea, that's all.
Yeah. Anything else while she's plugging numbers in? Peter, anything?
Well, I can tell you, we used to review the budget. A lot of it had to do with E&D, had to do with you were talking about how many grants they applied the previous year to the budget to reduce, to actually make the budget what it was. So, I mean, they give you a number, I'm certain they did, for how much E&D was being, to lower their budget this year.
This year's was 400,000 versus last year, I think, well, I can tell you exactly.
It was higher, wasn't it? I think it was.
Last year it was only
Oh, that's all?
it was either 325 or 375. Give me 1 second, I'll tell you. Revenue, last year was 375, this year's budget 400 even, so.
That's a slippery slope too, doing that. So,
Right,
yeah,
we'll get the fuller report and see if Steve and Nicole can come in.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying, it tells you on that sheet that they give us.
it's like a cherry
Has-
sheet,
It has the, what you talking about, Peter? What'd you just say?
cherry sheet.
No, what they're using for,
The E&D,
E&D.
yes, that used to always be a big one to go after, it tells you, you know what I mean, what they had left over from last year,
Right.
grants and whatever.
Which is important.
And how much it reflects on this year's budget, so we used to always analyze how much normally was fat, and how much was left over from grants. They should separate that,
Yeah.
so.
All right, so this is just for Quabog with, the minimum, above minimum in that 13.57%.
13.57?
Yeah, this is for Quabog. Because, the minimum is 9.73%. We give them 904 number, that's 17.69. And then transportation would be 30.06. So for the operating assessment part of it is 14.12. On the capital payments, it's a minus 3.74, which gives you a total of 14.12.
What's the overall budget, Manon?
8.72.
That's,
That's just for the high school?
What?
The
14,
8.72?
no, the 14.12 is
Oh.
high school.
Oh, okay.
That's just for the assessment part.
Mhm.
Hold on, I gotta get back down there. So the total operating assessment is 14.12, and a negative 3.74 on the capital, so their total for the whole school is 13.57 for Quabog. Because the debt's going down, we pay down every year. That debt may not show on there, so. And then for the voc ed will be, you only go up 2.5 and 8, so that increase would be 6.12 for voc ed. That's why that other sheet, I know we got it last year, and it shows that, and it talks about the E&D, and they've got the, you know, compared to last year and everything, it's. So. What I'll do is, if we hear anything from the police, I'll just email everybody
Oh, okay.
that, and then you can look at it, and then I can print it, and then when you come in,
Okay.
it'll be there.
All right, anything else? So we'll meet again next Tuesday
Yeah,
at 3?
just hold on one second.
Go
So
ahead.
the competitive grants, I don't know if that's state or if that's federal, it doesn't really say.
Yeah, my quick take on the grants was that most of it is, or a large part of it at least, is providing for a kind of a, not non-operational, but kind of extra things.
No, I know, but I was just curious if they were federal or state grants. That's all.
Yeah, a combination, and I don't know the breakdown, I think most of it's state, that's the sense I have. So. I think the biggest impact is likely to be, I don't know if Student Opportunity Act is federal or state. And it sounds like that won't be funded going forward. And that could affect their having literacy coaches, the early educational kinds of things. That would be the biggest issue. Yeah, so we'll have to get the fuller story on the school budget. Okay, so, is there any new business, anything else?
A lot of these operational expenses are pretty broad categories.
Yeah, again, this is just an overview.
Yeah.
We need the detailed report to drill into it a little bit. And if there's no new business, set a meeting for next Tuesday here at 3.
Yeah. And everything's gonna stay the same? In case there's anything comes in on the budget, we should maybe have more. No, I'm just,
I think the agenda would be very similar,
yeah,
yes.
just saying that, I just need to know, so I'll post it,
So, you know,
create.
the reason one of the reasons why we do revenue projections is to see if there's any, pockets of money that we didn't expect are coming in, to offset some of, budget increases. As you can
Right.
see, there's maybe $60,000 that, that we're gonna get more next year, projected to get more next year than this year. So there's not a bucket of money sitting out there that's gonna, offset some of these additional expenses that the town has to pay for. And, with that, calculation, that estimated calculation of over 8%, it's not gonna be sustainable for years to come if we continue in that direction. And so, I'm hopeful that maybe this is a one-off and we can, negotiate some things a little bit better down the road, but, if these costs continue to climb as they are, we will be headed into a direction, of needing some additional relief, in the form of, whether it be, as other towns are struggling with, coping with right now, overrides in the future. Right now, we can sustain this a little bit, but, if we continue on in this direction, this is not sustainable. And so any type of suggestions, cuts, any retooling, re-looking at the services that we can afford to provide, I think are important to be looked at.
So, that's what I would recommend, everybody's got a copy of the budgets, look and see if there's anything you think maybe, can be cut, and, it's just, a lot of things, especially the benefits is what the big thing was, plus you know, 64,000, a little less than 64 for regional dispatch. That's a lot of money. Even though it doesn't sound like it, but for the budget it is, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
And, you know, to take a look and see, you know, it's just, you know, I mean, I think everybody tried their best, but this is what happened 3 years ago when they put the wage classification in with the big adjustments. The first year was a big hit, then it settled down the next year, and the year after that. And,
Here it is again.
and then because of, they did the study and, you know,
Yeah.
we would be
Oh.
below, which everybody
Sure.
anticipated that we would be below,
Mhm.
you know, and everybody, I mean, so everybody's got them and, you know, take a look and, you know, write down if you got any thoughts.
And on the town side, I can, you know, say that, you know, we're being aggressive as much as we can with grants, different initiatives. You know, we just, we were very fortunate, we just got our bids in back for, the new roof at the senior center, and that came in a lot less than anticipated.
Oh, excellent.
So, you know, we're gonna be able to turn back, some of that money that we had reserved for the town side, and thanks to an earmark that we got from the state.
Oh, excellent.
So, you know, that's, those wins help us.
Yeah.
And we're gonna continue on that path, and we just got a whole new computers. That project, half of that was paid through a grant. So.
I think Priya made a good point before that, moving forward, I don't think the grants are going to be coming as.
You know,
they
grants
were.
dry up, you know?
Yeah,
You
and
know.
when you hear all the news and everything, it's not
Mhm.
gonna be, they're not gonna be as open
Mhm.
as they are now, or have been in the past.
So that's why you have to take advantage
I agree.
when you have it.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and then,
Uh-huh.
you know, and I mean, they've done a lot of work down the senior center, just about got that place done, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with the
Agree.
newer kitchen and this, and, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
so. You know, as long as we're
You've
taking.
been excellent at grants.
No, we're trying to, but it's
It's
just,
not we, it's you.
you know, no, it's
No,
a,
the
it's a,
police and the
it-
fire.
No, I'm just
you know,
saying, he's still on.
it's a team effort in, you know, everything we do here. And, you know, it's just, it's getting tougher and tougher. There's not, you know, there's not a whole, you know, much left there, to be looking at. You know, this budget that's being proposed, there's no new positions.
Mhm.
You know, there's not,
Well, possible, part-time, there might be.
there may be a part-time, a few part-time people, but, you know, there's no new full-time positions.
Can I ask something on the insurance? Does the broker shop it every year?
Well, that's one thing that we're
That's
doing
huge.
right now.
Yeah, okay.
Is the town has historically been with Maya, okay?
Okay.
And I told Maya, when the reps came in,
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, look at, you know, this increase is not sustainable for year after year. I will be looking for other options, and I
Good.
notified the Board of Selectmen that we will have to look at other options,
Yeah.
especially now.
Get another
I mean,
broker.
you know, the other, the years past, we've been, you know, fortunate to get a 0% rate
Mhm.
increase,
Mhm.
you know, a slight increase of
Right.
1% or 2%. But now, if they're playing
Huge.
catch-up and
Yeah.
whacking us almost 16%,
Yeah.
we have to look at something, that's not
Mhm.
sustainable. Maybe it's a one-off for them, I don't know, but, you
Well, you
know,
lit the flame,
oh yeah,
Okay.
we're looking at other
because I think
options.
that's very, very important.
We're looking at other options
Yeah.
across
And
the
even
board.
just to tell them, you gotta shop it for us. We're not
Well, they
accepting
don't
one
sh-
quote.
yeah,
Why don't
you-
they shop it?
No, they only, it's themselves, so we have
Got
to
it.
do,
Oh,
we have to
shop
do
it
the
then.
shopping.
Okay, yes, okay.
So,
Okay, get another broker
we're,
involved.
we're going to, we've already looked at other options for liability and for workers' comp.
Okay.
And we're also gonna be looking at other health options as
Okay.
well. It's gonna take some time,
Yeah,
those are
yeah.
big things to
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
but we've started the ball rolling.
okay.
And we've already notified Maya that other companies will be calling them to get information about our account so that we can obtain other quotes.
Right, okay.
So
You'll have
it
to
will,
solve
it will service us in the sense that we're not kidding when we say we're
No,
looking
yeah,
for,
exactly.
for.
And then you know,
other
if there's nothing
options.
better out there, then you know it's
Right.
nothing better out there. And yes, I do believe rates are going up with everybody,
Mhm.
but cover our
Right.
backs on this.
Okay, so next meeting was 4/8/25, 3 o'clock,
Yes.
and that's all set. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
4/25.
And we're adjourned.